Hello, 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 Ezigo family. We are back again. Welcome to another insightful episode. Conversation. Yes, conversation. And it is starting to really feel like a dialogue. Thank you so much for your engagement, your insights. It really does inspire us and motivate us to keep showing up. So, we are back and more engaging, more thought provoking topics. And it's Coach Lundy for those who are new to the space. And I am a relationship coach for high achievers, helping high achievers close the gap between love and success. So I work with those who want love to be part of their legacy. And I am here, of course, with my co host, Coach Auntie Nu. Hey, Coach Nu.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Coach Landy.
Yes, so let us jump into the business of today. And today we are talking. So, Auntie Nune, she deals with family matters. She helps us with understanding all things family. Why? Because in our romantic relationship, in any type of relationship, at work, wherever, we bring what we learned from home into all our life experiences. And so her perspective combined with my perspective in building relationships that eventually turn into families, and then we produce other little humans who eventually turn into big human. You know how the cycle goes on and on and on and on. so so we are collaborating together, and today we are taking it home. We are taking it to family, and we are asking the question, why is there so much disconnection in family? And we'll be unpacking that. We'll be looking at it from bottom, sideways, top. That's what we do here. That's how we do. So, Auntie Noor, why is there so much disconnection in family?
Sure, isn't that the $1 million question, Coach Landy? And I think before I get to why there is so much disconnection, I think I must just put it out there that, it is one of the most underrated, um, non-talked about issue that exists in society. The pain and heartbreak that people experience from being disconnected from family members. And I mean, you can only imagine because these are the people that, you are related to by blood. And so whenever there is tension, whenever there is conflict, the pain is very, very deep. And this is the reason why we see so much of the social ills that we do see in our society. If you trace it all back, it all goes back to the family because this is our source, this is where we come from, that's where we have our roots. So, and I think I say that it is underrated because I think we've somehow normalized it. We've somehow taken it to be normal. Nobody's asking for families to be perfect, but I think the pain that goes unaddressed is responsible for a lot of the problems that we experience on an individual level, family, societal. I mean, we take all of that everywhere we go. So, to answer your I think the very first reason is unresolved conflicts. Now, when I say unresolved conflicts within the family, some of the conflicts are inherited. We don't own them. We found them here. We inherited them from parents, from great grandparents, great grandparents. So Auntie Nunu fell out with Auntie Londi yonks ago. Now we are the children or the grandchildren, and because those two decided to stop speaking to each other, decided to be present if the other was there, the children also had to follow suit. And now we just know that we don't talk to that part of the family. But as to what started it, we have absolutely no clue. Okay. Um, Even if there is a clue, it doesn't make sense because the owners of the beef, I mean, sometimes you read it as petty, but it's hard to look at your grandmother and think, girl, you petty, But the one thing that you would know and understand is that you are not to set foot anywhere near your great auntie's kids or your uncle's kids, and so on and so forth. And then there are those there where it's still inherited. There are reasons, maybe valid reasons, but there was just no steps taken to resolve that conflict. And so it carries on and on and on. And then we have the kind of conflict that exists in the present. So we are active participants in it, we are aware of it, but due to many reasons, ego, pride, whatever, we have decided that we're going to just let things be because nobody can come together and find a solution. Or maybe nobody is taking the initiative within the family to bring the two warring sides together to resolve this. And so that would be one of the main reasons why there is a disconnection, where people come from families, say, of 5 siblings, but they operate like they are the only ones because something happened and nobody is willing to take the initiative to address the conflict, or nobody has the guts within the family. Let's say this person was neutral, wasn't part of it, but nobody has the guts to call the two parties together to say, let's sit down, let's talk about it, let's hash it out. We're not leaving here until this is resolved. So this is one of the major, major, major reasons why there is disconnection within the family unit.
Wow. I can totally get that. Not just imagining it, but we all come from family and we all
Yeah,
experience and we
yes,
all
yes, yes, yes.
experience the disconnection, even separation, like you're mentioning. And what I'm hearing most is,
Mm.
let's maybe backtrack a bit, because you mentioned that there's like this big fat elephant. This disconnection has become like this big fat elephant in the room that everybody sees, but we are all just deciding to ignore. Why is that?
Yes.
Because it's there. It's not like we can't see it. It's there.
Mm,
The disconnection is there.
mm,
We all see it. We all recognize it. We all experience it. But why is it that we are ignoring the big fat elephant that is disconnection? Like, okay, you and I are family, and you and I know that there's no harmony, there's no connection. Why do we ignore that fact?
mm. We fear what confronting the elephant will bring up.
Mm.
Because in any situation where there are two parties that are at odds, nobody is completely innocent. So we fear accountability. We fear facing up to the part that we play towards the conflict, right? Because even if you were victimized, there is something, whether by taking action or even not taking action, sort of puts you on the guilt side. So we fear accountability. Also, a lot of the situations bring up pain. So because we are operating from the state of ego, from a state of pride, where I want to maintain istimasam, I don't want them to see me break down. I don't want them to see the amount of power they hold over me and that their actions hurt me that deeply because, I think that I'm better than them. So we fear being vulnerable. I fear that if I'm going to be open to somebody whom I deem to be beneath me to say that, listen, what you said or what you did actually hit me very deeply, I'll be sort of lowering myself to their level. So it's the fear of vulnerability. It's the fear of accountability. And it's the fear of telling the truth. And, because what happens within families, you would know, like you said, everybody belongs to a family, so we know this. So somebody does something, and there are those who, in the pursuit of keeping the peace, will will cover up for whoever, because it's not good for abantwana bomntu to be fighting. And yet sometimes it is necessary for those things to come out in the open. So you find that it now ends up involving a lot of people, because when I said offensive words to you, you went to auntie whoever to tell her. So instead of the auntie calling me and sitting both of us down, she'd just be like, just let it go. Let it go. In fact, don't mention it to anybody, because our enemies from the outside, there's all of that brainwashing that goes on where, listen, they come from a good place. Like, I think auntie whoever would be trying to keep the two members together, but not realizing that they haven't actually gone to address the main issue. So when this thing has grown to become a big purple elephant in the room, whenever we are all there, even the auntie who, when advising you to let it go, indirectly dismissed your feelings, is also guilty now, isn't it? And she will say, I was only trying to help. And you know what? None of this had anything to do with me. So people avoid talking about these things because, a lot of the time, how we handle conflict, we don't have good conflict resolution skills within our families. We just don't, you know. So a lot of people end up messing up things even further, even though they were trying to do good. So hence people would then say, you know what, just let it go. It'll resolve itself. And like we all know, nothing ever happens like that. For anything to be resolved, it needs to be faced, it needs to be addressed, and the truth needs to be told so that everybody can be set free.
No, I like that. And I like the practicality of it because it immediately gives us a way forward. One of the most frustrating things that I've experienced within this dynamic of identifying disconnection in family is the powerlessness that comes, like you're saying, we just fearing putting our foot in it.
Yes.
And in the
Yes.
fearing of putting your foot in it, there's a level of powerlessness that comes with that, especially when we're considering the hierarchy, dynamics of family, and so it does become indeed a big fat elephant that we need to now strategically be able to start dealing with, and things like getting the necessary required skills to be good at conflict resolution, because conflict resolution, when you have the skill, it then doesn't require a you kind of are able to override, those barriers that are put in there by the fact that the resolution is the conflict is so old. Nobody even, all the people that were involved are gone. Nobody even has the truest version of what did happen, And so really, I like the fact that with this particular one, with the conflict, with the unresolved conflict, if that is the cause of conflict, of the disconnection, I mean, in the family, then there's something that can be done there. Yes, it's going to be a long process. Yes,
Yes.
it's going to be a process that's probably not going to work out the way that you expect. It's going to take way longer than we would like for it to take. But I think undergoing the process of getting ourselves skilled in conflict resolution, if you identify that in your family unresolved conflict is the cause of disconnection, because like you said, that's just one of the causes of the
Yes.
disconnection, you know. And so if that's it, then and in doing that, we then learn to introduce things like accountability and
Mm,
responsibility, and
mm,
eliminate things like
mm.
blame that perpetuate the
Ah.
disconnection. And you know, so we are
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
just turn the whole script around, turn this elephant on its back, so that we can be able to just put it to bed and then eventually roll it out. Because as long as the elephant is standing, it is stampeding on all of us. Whether we were there in the initiation of the conflict or we were not, it will
Mm,
stampede all of us. So when we get the
mm,
necessary skills, like honestly speaking, if you understand and you see that it's unresolved conflict, go the extra mile, and you really are feeling called to do
mm,
something about it. Because then the next level becomes, people are now building their little nucleus families on the sides that are becoming a
mm.
struggle to sustain, because no
Yes.
branch can stand alone without being
Yes.
connected to the trunk and the root of the tree. And so that then just creates
Mm,
a whole other um, set of problems when we try this method. And I'm speaking like this because as a relationship coach, my family dynamics were one of the reasons that made me feel like, girl, you are so unqualified for this job. and so
listen,
and
listen. My
and so we
family
know.
dynamics got me to do this job.
And so really, these are
Yeah.
things that work.
Yeah.
These are things that work, getting the skill and then just
Mm, mm.
starting where you are. It doesn't need for you to go to
Yes.
the root and the heart of the matter, because really there's little roots and hearts of the matter everywhere. So just start where you are, where
Yes.
you know, next of kin, the most immediate person. It
Mm,
doesn't have to be the highest in the
exactly.
hierarchy, the most
Exactly.
immediate to you.
Yes.
Go there, you
Yes.
know, introduce this thing to them. And then it
Mm,
creates that ripple effect.
yes. And another thing that I want to mention, Coach Lundi, is that it's not that there is an absence of conflict resolution skills within the families. We do have conflict resolution skills that we use that are not working and that are usually toxic. You know what I mean? So, what do I mean? You know, I know, everybody knows in their family that whenever someone wants to bring up something that they don't like, somebody immediately gets defensive. They start screaming, they start shouting, and before you know it, there's a screaming match, and then that's it. It's over, and that's where we're going to leave it. Some
But I
people
think
even.
I think I want to cut you there, because
Mhm,
there's a lot of, you know, me and misconception me and misunderstanding.
mm, mm,
Um, Conflict resolution is different to confrontation.
I know.
I think that's one thing that we need to
Mm,
spell out to people,
yes,
because
yes.
there's a lot of people who assume that because they can point out things, then
Mm,
they are on the
they
path of
are
conflict
resolving.
resolution.
Yes,
Mhm.
you are
That is
very
not
right.
conflict resolution.
Yes,
Conflict
yes,
resolution
yes.
skills take into account all the possible responses and reactions to
Mhm,
undertaking the path of resolving conflict. And so when you
mhm,
really get into acquiring the skill of conflict
mhm.
resolution,
Yes.
flattery, accommodation, and all of these things that perpetuate
Mhm,
conflict are going to
mhm.
be immediately taken care of. So I think one of the things
Exactly.
is, when we apply conflict resolution skills and we approach it with confrontation, I think that's
Mm,
where the skills become um, ineffective, so to speak,
mm,
that they
mm.
start not to work when our approach is with that confrontational manner. So that
Mm.
one day, please, out the door. We are not confronting the conflict
Yeah,
to resolve it.
yeah.
Confrontation never resolved anything.
Never.
Confrontation never resolved anything.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because I know there's a lot of people who are watching us who will say, I'm the one who's always trying to resolve the conflict. And yet what they are doing is confrontation. And even when they do confront, Iana Van Sant always speaks of carefrontation. All right? Carefrontation, because now you're falling onto the realm of conflict resolution, because confrontation has some kind of violent connotation to it. Ngifuna nje ukumgcwalisela ngimtshele indaba zakhe. Ngimtshelile mina lo Antweni, angimsabi. I told that's the energy that confrontation gives out. So, and this is why those will never end well. And so people fail to understand, it's because they can't stand the truth. No, there was nothing truthful, because also the intention, right? The intention behind the confrontation. You cannot want to resolve something if you still want to show the other party that, hey, I can stab you and it can go this deep. I'm there's a popular saying that people like, I'm blunt, something like I tell the truth, something like I
Brutally
tell the
honest.
truth bluntly, brutally honest. That's the one. Why the need to be brutal? Because if you are going to be brutal, what's going to happen? I'm going to defend. Because you're coming for me, isn't it? So nothing good can ever come out of that. So the fact that unresolved, so you see the many layers to it. So you've got the ones where people just never want to bring up whatever caused the conflict, right? So that's where we just completely avoid and decide to go our separate ways. And then you've got the ones where people want to bring it up, but the manner in which they want to bring up the cause of the disconnection causes even more problems and exacerbates the issue. Okay. And it either ends up, just being violent, and there's just a whole lot of discontent between the two parties. So it's not to say that unresolved conflict means that people didn't attempt to resolve it. A lot of the times you find that each time they did, it didn't end well, because also of the lack of skills in conflict resolution. Okay, words were exchanged, people were being offensive, people were being personal when, and it happens a lot. We see it, we're talking about issue A, we're talking about something that happened at a specific event. We're saying that, so and so, because you arrived late and we cannot start before you arrive, it delayed everything. Yes, of course, because you are barren, you don't have children, you wouldn't know what it's like to be delayed by taking care of children. You see, now it's those types of things, and those are the kinds of things that can lead to that unresolved conflict where two people end up not speaking to each other, because instead of addressing the issue at hand, people use like very dirty tactics, instead of just owning up to say, listen, I'm sorry, I was late, I got delayed, I should work on my punctuality, and we move on. So a lot of the times, like we say, it's just a lack, and people understanding that let's focus on the issue at hand, make the main issue and leave everything else out, So, yeah, this is one of the major reasons that there is that disconnection, because, you can only imagine how it feels, because to the other parties also who are present while all of this is happening, man, it just leaves a bitter taste in the mouth. When you know that, whenever these two are in the room, things are just bound to end up in tears, just souring the whole thing. That's when people decide, what, this is not my vibe. I'm no longer coming. I know it's an important family event, but because these two will be here and they're going to spoil everything for everyone, I would rather not come. And that is how also the disconnection comes about, where the people who are peace loving and would just want people to get on nicely, harmoniously, just feel like, you know what, those ones, no, I'm just not vibing with them because they're all about violence. They're all about, we all know, listen, I have a cousin. We all have to check if he's attending, and we know because if he's there, it's just bound to end up ugly. He's that type of person. He brings about that energy. So yeah, this is one of the major reasons people disconnect from family. It's that unresolved conflict. It's that not confrontation, it's that not addressing things at hand, like I say, you have a single culprit, but nobody wants to. Nobody. Everybody just feels like, yay, this is one person, but it feels like you are dealing with 20 strong, mighty men here. And let's just rather leave it, So it's those reasons.
And every family has their one person. So
yes. Woo, yeah. So it's those things. And I think, you know what, Lundi, we laugh, ne? But it's sad in that as I think of this particular relative of mine, this thing didn't start with him. It's becoming a thing now where his his branch of the family, that's all they are known for. That's all they are good at. So it's like the baton has been handed over to him. But before him, hey, it was everybody else in his direct line, And so it also speaks to how issues that are unresolved will just multiply and carry on and on and on and on. This person is in my age group. I know that my mother dealt with people in her age group coming from that particular family. My grandmother, I also hear my great grandmother also dealing with that branch, that single branch, who are the troublemakers, who are capable of just and even take pride in souring an event. They even threatened at times to say, I can shut this party down right now, and everybody just leaves them and decides, okay, no, that's it. We'd rather just go, But do you see how much it grows? It grows and grows and grows, which then says to all of us that until we address this, until we decide to resolve it, and yes, it's going to be very ugly. It's going to be very ugly. Listen, those people are trained and experienced in the fiercest, most toxic rebuttals. So you must understand that on the day that you decide that this is the last time this is going to happen, you must come prepared. You must come ready for war. But we must now decide that we're killing this monster once and for all, So as family members, we usually just leave it to other people. We usually just feel like, I'd rather not. It's been here for so long. Who am I to come along? But listen, very, very important family relations are dying because of a small thing that just requires us to muster up the courage to say it ends here, because it's very, very toxic and it's not good. And these are people that, we are linked to and we need each other. And it's just so sad when, ties are severed due to things that can be resolved. Difficult, but can be resolved. Yeah.
And I think one thing that might help when I know that I know will definitely helps is maybe having the awareness that two things. The first thing is just because you can identify the conflict and just because you have the courage to do something about it doesn't mean that you are the one who is called to resolve that
Yes.
conflict.
Yes.
What this means is you may be the one who will influence and be the
Yes.
starting point. There's the person who
Mm,
flicks the switch
mm,
and is not
mm,
the person who installed the lights.
mm,
So if you are the
mm,
person who flips the
mm.
switch and the light goes on, all you do is flip the switch and have that be
True.
enough, and the light will do
True.
the rest.
Mm,
Because
mm,
sometimes we leave it unresolved because we see this big elephant and you're thinking, I am no hunter, I am not. Kanti yours is to just flip the switch. Njengoba ngithi,
mm,
find a next of kin.
mm, mm,
Influence, your influence. Sometimes we underestimate um
mm,
our own value. We underestimate the power of our energy and our intention, because
mm,
a pure intention, a pure heart will create sacred space for the people
mhm,
that have the ability to be able to resolve this thing, for the people that need the courage. Just because
mm,
your intention is pure, it will
mm.
set the light on, and those that need courage will develop the courage,
Yes. Yeah.
because you are coming from that pure space. So when we're dealing with conflict
Very true.
resolution, we need to understand that it is not you're being able to see that, okay, there's a big fat elephant that should not be stampeding all over us. That
Mm.
alone, and you being courageous enough to say, this elephant should not be stampeding all over us. One
Shouldn't
person
even
will
be
hear
here.
you. One person
Mm.
will hear you, and you don't know how they will be touched by that. And they will be touched where they need to
Exactly.
be touched so that this thing moves, because it is not a one-man show. And I think that's another thing
Mm-hmm.
that
Aha.
perpetuates the disconnection, is because people want to be heroes. You
Mm.
want to be the
Mm.
hero, you want to come and save the day. Conflict
Mm.
and
Mm.
disconnection is not a one person thing.
It's
it,
not.
it, it, it takes a lot
It's
of
not.
people to create that disconnection. It takes a lot of energy. So it's not going to be a one person thing.
Mm. Mm.
Nothing in life
Very
is a singular thing.
nothing.
So
Yes.
when we are approaching it, approach it in that way. Number one, understand that just because you are the one who's seeing it doesn't mean that you are the one who's going to resolve it. Maybe yours is
Exactly.
to just call it out and have the person
Mm-hmm.
that's meant to be influenced by your energy and moved by your energy, in the same way that the person who installed the
Spot on.
light gave you
Yes.
gave you a means to be able to use your abilities to flip a switch. And so we
Aha.
all have a part to play. That's why we are
We
one
do.
big body. One body, the
Aha.
hand does what the hand does, the eyes do what the eyes do, the mouth
Very
does
true.
what the mouth does. So let's not want to
Mm.
be everything within our families. That works.
Yes.
The
Yes.
second thing is,
Mm.
listen, in every family, like in everything in life, because life is a duality, there are going to be perpetrators and they're going to be healers.
Mm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
you are a healer, you have no business going into the mud and having a jive and a session, with the perpetrators. Do you? They do you, yes.
Yes.
In these situations, do you? The
Very
perpetrators, the
true.
perpetrators it will take care of itself. Again,
Mm.
most
Mm.
important thing is that intention. The purity of your
Mm.
intention is what will create the sacred space. And if you
Mm.
know that your intentions are not pure, then all you can do is just say that, man, this thing is bothering me. Then do that and have that be
Mm.
enough. The person who will pick up the baton will pick up the baton. But trying to
Mm-hmm.
be a hero and wanting to run a
Nothing
relay
gonna
by
work.
yourself, that is setting yourself up for
Yes.
failure. That is you
Yeah.
now jumping ship from the
Mm-hmm.
healer's side of the family to the perpetrator's side of the family. Because
Very
every
true.
family has that. It's just the dynamic.
Yes.
It's just the
And
natural
it's,
state of
listen,
being. Because if it doesn't exist, then we
exactly.
will not be able to experience the harmony. Because
Mm.
how do we know that we've reached harmony? Because we know what this harmony feels like. How do we know we've reached unity? Because we know
Mm.
what this connection feels like. So it is natural.
Exactly.
That's another thing. Let us not freak out. Yo, Can we just not freak out over disconnection? It's real. It happens. It's part of our life experience. We need it
It
for certain
serves
things.
it serves a
It serves a
purpose. It
purpose.
serves a
Yes, it
purpose.
serves a
And
purpose.
I
So
think,
let's accept it.
yeah, it serves a purpose. And I think what usually happens is that, and you will see, I hope our listeners can start, connecting the dots as in how this emanates from family and we take it into our relationships. Do you see now? Because this is why we're having such conversations. Because what usually happens is that we freak out because we have not been taught or do not understand that things don't just happen for the sake of happening. There's lessons here, and just like you say, for every story, there's a villain and a hero. Okay. The villains are not completely bad. They are there to point out stuff that is not working within the family. Because I kid you not, there are times when your toxic cousin, I know there's been plenty of times when this toxic cousin of mine will point something out that you've all been afraid to voice out. But because, it's him, he'll just splash it onto the ground and it splatters everywhere. And we laugh and we be like, oh, you know how he is. But we know that, oh, shame, you know what? He's taken us further than we've ever been with this thing. Because listen, life just works with balance. Those are just universal laws. Everything must balance. What happens on the left must happen on the right. So I think, like you say, it's all about the intention. What space are you coming from? Is your intention pure? And it's the how. Maybe people don't understand, when we talk about spaces and intentions. And I always say, you can always say anything under the sun. It's in the how you say it. It's in the how you say it. So that speaks to the intention, that speaks to the space that you're coming from. So, yeah. And these lessons are valuable, Coach Lindy. These skills are valuable within the family structure because guess what? We take our family into our relationships, whether you want to believe it or not. The stuff that happens there, how you observe and witness conflict being handled within your family space is exactly how you're going to operate within a romantic relationship, and that is why people will tell you that, oh, I understood now when I went to her home and all chaos broke loose, that this is how she fights me and this is where she gets it from. So I want our listeners to start connecting the dots. And then it gets me to my second point, a second reason why there is so much disconnection within our families, and that is lack of purpose. Now you're thinking, lack of purpose, what has that got to do with anything? So nothing in life under the sun exists just for the sake of just to breathe, to inhale and exhale. Families, just like individuals, have a purpose. And for purpose to be realized, you need to know who's who in the jungle, where you fit, and what role you play. Now, purpose simply means direction. Purpose simply means the reason for being. What are you about? And this is not some AGM that's going to be called and we sit and decide, yeah, we the Nkosas are about this and that. That stuff gets figured out during the course of life as we coexist together. But family values are crafted and carved out when such things happen, things like conflict, where we say, this will not be allowed in our space. We will not allow for such and such a thing to take place. That is how family values are carved out, right? And that is how, when we come together and experience life, people strengths and skills are identified. Nobody sits down and says, right, Coach Londi, you are a great mediator. How will that come about? Life needs to happen. And as we go on in life, somebody will say, you know what? That Londega is very good at mediating whenever there's issues within this family. And that is how you come into your purpose as an individual, and collectively we start having a purpose as a family to say, listen, we are about this, we do not allow this, and so on and so forth and so forth. Now, what has happened is that with the disintegration of the family unit and all of these conflicts that we've been talking about, where people go on for years without talking to each other, people lose their way, people lose their identity, people end up not knowing where they fit in. People end up just feeling like, the spares. When we grew up, we used to play games and there was somebody called the all safe. you belong to both teams, like you don't have a specific role. You're just roaming into the other. So
I but you had a
imagine
role,
an
had the most fun, have more fun than everybody else.
exactly, but
Zero
like
responsibilities.
wherever the wind blows, that's you. Whenever they spotted a gap, you could be borrowed and. So now imagine an entire unit, an entire family unit of all saves. What happens? Nothing. Nothing. No growth. Nothing. All of the skills that you are talking about. So what contribution are you now going to make in the spaces that you occupy, at school, at work, in your relationship? You're just that person when you're always neutral because you don't know what to do. You don't know nothing. You don't know. Somebody says, let's have a birthday party for our brother. People come together and they don't know what to do. I've seen it firsthand. I've been part of a family where something has happened and now things need to happen. And people just sit there twiddling their thumbs and they're like, and they are passing jokes and you're sitting there and you're thinking, wait, why are we here again? Why is nobody doing anything? Why is nobody? Because people don't know. You see. So now you can only imagine what that does to the people because I was an outsider, so to speak. And you look at this and you're thinking, and then people just are unmotivated to attend the next time because what's going to happen? 3 hours are going to pass by before somebody decides, oh, we need to eat. It's simple things such as somebody brings stuff to eat, somebody brings the food, somebody brings the drinks. Somebody, we're not even talking major things here. No. We're not talking who presents over the meetings. No, little things where there is no order, there is no purpose. There is no clarity of roles. There is no clarity of why we are. Right? So the people who see this and it frustrates them will try and because people don't want to take up space, people don't want to be responsible, people don't want to be accountable. They'll be like, no, it's gonna figure itself out. It's gonna. What then happens to that family? Nothing good can ever come out of that family. Only weeds can grow. So this is a reason why some families disconnect, and you find that a sub branch decided to walk away from this aimlessness and start something solid. And now it would seem like, oh, they think they're better than us. No, because they had a sense of purpose. They knew what they wanted. They knew what they were about. They may not have known how they are going to go about getting it, but they knew that what exists here is not it for them. So what do? They feel like, okay, fine, we've tried, we've spoken, we've tried all sorts of things. It's not working. Let's just walk off and start our own little thing. And whoever is vibing with that will come and join us. And that is another reason why families disconnect. And now it seems like there's inequality, because people don't want to admit that we cannot just be bound by blood and then it ends there. We are here for bigger reasons. We are here for bigger purposes as individuals and collectively as well within our family space. And I think once we start getting a proper understanding of what that is, then a lot of things, because let me tell you something, conflict is natural, as you say, for the balance and. However, conflict exists. Sometimes you'll find that for people who are purpose driven, for families that are purpose driven, for families who know who does what role they occupy, and what role they should be playing within the family, the conflict is really not much of an issue. It comes, it gets resolved because everybody is in position. Everybody knows where they fit. Even the little children, you know where they fit in within this family unit. So once people don't know what they should be doing, once there is a lack of purpose as a family, what do we stand for? What are we good at? What is our legacy as a family? What do we want to see? What do we not want to see? Where do we come from? What do we want to change about our family story? Yes, so our mothers didn't get along, they were siblings, but it you want to allow in your space and what you will not allow in your space, what you will allow to continue and what you will not allow to continue. That is how purpose is born. Purpose is not some big thing that you dream of and you wake up and you suddenly, no. Purpose is what happens while we are busy living and being truthful and honest about it. So the disconnection comes then when some people don't want to do that, because listen, Coach Lundi, relationships and healthy, meaningful relationships require for us to get over ourselves. And getting over ourselves does not mean that we minimize or dismiss our own feelings. No, it just means that you understand that you live for a purpose much greater than your personal needs and desires, and that you're here for a much bigger reason, and that you are part of a collective. So, once people stop using family, yes, family is that source of comfort and love and all of those wonderful things, but it doesn't end there. How you pay it back is by wanting to pour back into this family that's giving all of this back to you. And that is how we grow, because imagine one family knowing, having a sense of purpose, knowing this is who we are, this is what we stand for, and then they go into society and that multiplies into 10 more families. That has an impact on the kind of society, on the kind of nation that we have. So that's why it is very, very important. And I think that we are in an era where people, I'm finding my purpose. People don't know what their purpose is because they don't know it from their own families, because that already gives you all the clues you need to do. We do what we do. It started at home. It started at home.
It did not start with us.
We found our
we
way.
Are not the first,
we were
we are not the first
already
people to be doing what we are doing from our
Yes,
family. Like
exactly.
I'm not the first person to be working and helping people.
I definitely
with
am not.
My great
I
grandfather
definitely am not.
So,
exactly. You see,
yeah.
I'm Auntie Nono. I come from a strong and direct lineage of aunties. My mother is auntie. My grandmother is auntie. My great grandmother. People even forget our real names and we just become auntie. You understand? So what does this auntie about? Why are they auntie? Besides it being a title, what does this auntie do? Why is she auntie? Why is she such a beloved auntie in this family? Umalume, it is, it is. So right now, people are experiencing a lack of purpose. People are feeling lost. And it's so, so sad and heartbreaking that it gets to people even taking their own lives because they feel like, I just don't know why I'm living. I don't know. I'm just taking up space. And you see the disconnection, because think of it this way. Think of a family as a tree. When the branch has been disconnected from the trunk, or the roots are not firmly embedded, there can never be any life. And so death is imminent. So as a people, we need to understand the importance of family, that it forms the basis of our identity and who we are. You see, so more than just us highlighting the reasons for the disconnection, the bigger thing here is to heal the disconnection, because when we heal it, we also heal ourselves. Some people think they have an I problem. I just suffer from this. Can't. No, it's not an I problem. It's a family problem. And if you heal it in the family, it'll stop being a problem. Depression is not something you pick up from the street. Depression exists within your family where you come from. Otherwise, you wouldn't identify with it. You see. So the lack of purpose within families is killing us and is causing huge problems in our society. And then we take it to our relationships, group. Because if you don't have purpose, if you don't know what you are about, you want the next person to tell you who you are. You want the next person to tell you, you are so smart, you are so talented in this.
So now we are wanting to outsource.
Yes. Yeah,
no, but really, the purpose thing is one of those things that makes relationships that deep. One of the most disheartening, and it's a thing that's going on right now in our community. One of the most disheartening and disempowering statements that majority of us, especially as Black people, have heard in our adult life, when life wants us to now be walking in purpose and we can't. When you've tried everything and your efforts are not giving you the results of the fulfillment you know you are meant to experience. So you've gotten the job, you've gotten the relationship status, you've ticked all the boxes, which a lot of us do because we were brought up to do that. But then you lack in the fulfillment, because fulfillment comes from purpose. And so you start looking, like you're saying, you start looking, okay, maybe it's my marriage, maybe it's my job. You start changing the partner you're with, you start changing the job, and you are lacking this purpose thing. Né? And when you've tried everything, and eventually you're like, I know it's over. Maybe you're one of those that eventually just loses everything, despite all your efforts, or you are just one of those that's like, okay, before I take my own life, let me find out what's happening. And you hear words that will bring you to your knees. And these words are inkingi semsam. Hi,
exactly.
Inkinga isemsam. Now we are going to, this is the direct translation, because a lot of us get confused when we hear this word. You don't know where to go.
It's not an instruction to go to
because you're thinking, Emsamu, in which family, in that chaos, in that, how am I going to fix anything that requires an umsamu in the way that we refer to it commonly? You're thinking, where am I going to find these solutions? Because this family is hanging on a thread. You know, you identify that I am not going to find solutions because the msamu is non-existent. When they say msamu, it is referring to this, that you are not locked into the purpose.
Exactly.
The purpose that is linked to where you come from. The purpose that is linked to the roots of who you are. And so it starts now with going back to the roots. And going back to the roots is not you now going to be the savior of your family and going to bear the cross of your family's conflicts and lack of purpose. It's not that. But it's you going back to gain and find knowledge that will give you access, because all you need is the knowledge. The knowledge is the truth. The truth will set you free. Truth is all you need. You don't need the living, breathing human beings that are in the family to come to the party and fix this umsamu thing, you know, but not in the beginning, at least, you know. You can You can
Yes, yes.
find your way, you can root yourself, and you can equip yourself for the parts of reconnection that now need the living, breathing human being by just getting the knowledge, by just getting the knowledge, because the knowledge is the root. And once you
Yes.
get the knowledge and the root, when you reconnect to the root, you start receiving that little nourishment. And because you cannot exist by yourself, you need to bear fruit through branches and twigs and everything. Then everybody else can come to the party in whatever ways that unfolds.
Very
But
true.
when it
Very
comes
true.
to purpose in family, lack of purpose in family, it does get that deep. That is
It
one
does.
thing that we because I really want us to be deliberate and conscious of the fact that we are not on this planet just to consume oxygen. You know, we have really devalued our existence. We are not here to consume oxygen. We are not here to pay bills. We are not here to do all of these things that stress us out. We are not here to pursue fleeting pleasure, because we
No.
have made those things our purpose. We have made
Mm.
the ability to pay bills our life's purpose. We have made chasing fleeting pleasure our life's purpose. That is not why we're here. That is not why we're here. And purpose is revealed in
Yeah.
understanding where you come from, whose you are,
Mm.
who you are connected to. Because, like we are saying,
Mm.
we are able to stand firmly where we are because we had to learn where we come from. We had to learn
Mm.
where we come from
Mm.
and understand. Another thing in purpose is progression, evolution. I always say your relationships are your karma. And I'm doing a karmic relationships masterclass on the
Yeah.
5th of March, if you really want to understand
Mm.
how
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm.
your intimate relationship will help you to go back and
Mm.
get the truth that was lost in the losing, or in the failure to steward purpose in our family. And that is, our intimate relationships have the ability to help us reconnect with that purpose, because it's never lost. It's just lying dormant. It will
Mm.
never be lost. Even if all the family members die, it will never be lost. It will
Mm.
lie dormant until somebody picks it up. And if you are the
True
person
that.
that's meant to pick it up, then your intimate romantic relationships, your work relationships, they will initiate you.
Everything.
They will, yay, it will feel like stabs,
Harshly.
and it will feel
Harshly.
like stabs and wars, and because you need to go and pick it up. It's lying on the
Mm.
floor somewhere. Somebody needs to pick it up. So that is what that aspect is. All you are
Mm.
being asked to do, if you are confronted with the lack of purpose, as of family purpose, the lack of awareness of family purpose being the thing that is disconnecting. Because when you are disconnected from family, you are ultimately also disconnected from yourself, because there's
Mm.
no way you are going to stand as a whole being by yourself.
Mm.
It's impossible. Like, the
It
legs
is.
can't stand and say, I'm a boot. They're not. They're just legs, you know.
You're just a limb.
Yes,
You're
you're
a
just a
limb. Now
limb.
you become a
Yes,
limb, you know.
yes.
You said
And
a
because
key
you
word.
grow toes, and because you grow toes, you're thinking you're a full body. No, you're not. You are not. And that's what we are
What's a
trying to
toe?
do. And what we are
What's a
that's
toe
what we're
without a
trying to do
foot
with,
after all?
yeah, that's what we're trying to do with creating these little nuclear family things and branching out ourselves. Oksalayo, oksalayo, we need to go back and reconnect. And the reconnecting
Mhm.
is not us reconciling. That's another thing. Yay.
No.
That's another
No.
thing, because we're thinking that reconnection in family and unity in family is reconciliation. No, it's not. It is
That,
consciousness and awareness. It is respect. It is integrity. It is honor. And you can honor something without
mm,
being a part of the mess that it is
mm, mm,
contained
mm.
in. You can honor it.
I
Separating
totally
yourself from
agree.
your family without honoring your family whatever you are building there is not going to be sustainable.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned a key word and you said rooted. A lot of us are not rooted. And it's going to be easy then for you to be swayed and to be blown in all directions when you are not rooted, when you are not standing firm. A tree that is firmly rooted in the ground, all the winds of all the seasons can come and blow it off. It can stand barren without leaves, but it will stand. It will stand. So people of our current generation, and I want to mention this. Guys, we need to be careful of the narratives that we are sold in popular culture. Abo self-made, abo you can make it on your own. These are the things that ziyathatha yazi ziyoshintshinga eweni, honestly, because the people who say those things, who promote those narratives, are living the opposite of what they are telling you. We on a macro level, we are a weak nation because we are not firmly rooted, because we've been told that we can make it on our own, and that is so not true. And people will keep looking and pursuing and chasing this purple that seems so elusive. Gandhi, identity births purpose. You cannot ever know what you should be doing if you don't know who you are. You have got to know who you are. That's where it starts. You need to know who you are. Like you say, do you need to be living there? No, not really. Just gather the knowledge. Just have the knowledge of who you are, of how you came about, of where you come from, of the wins, of the losses, of, do you know what I mean? Just know who you are. Identity builds purpose. That is how different members of the family will know and discover their purpose. Because when an elder says to you, oh, wavuka usibanibani, they have seen how you conduct yourselves. They have seen how you handle things. Even as a 6-year-old, we know this. People with children will tell you that, I saw my child at 2 years old. She could do this, do that, do that. And she reminded me of. So that automatically means he or she is now walking on a trail of somebody who's been here before in this particular family. You understand? And so when you keep mentioning those things and the child grows up hearing those things, they get affirmed, they get confident, and they have a trail to follow. Now, if you do not have a trail to follow, then how are you going to discover your purpose? Because purpose is think of purpose as a little precious stone that you pick up along the way, but you need to be walking on a particular path. So you need to know. So I think more than anything, the reason why, and I think, I've had younger cousins of mine, why do you guys always insist on us meeting and getting together? And then, we are busy, we've got things. I said, you know what? These meetings, us being together, coming together in spaces, because stories get told, right? And that's how that's how you get to find out. And say, photo albums come out. Listen, there's a lot of gold
That is so
in
true.
the
And I mean, like,
coming together.
I want us to drive this point home of in the coming together, that's where the revelation happens, because you will be struggling with something and somebody, the wind
Yes,
will be blowing you. In the coming
yes.
together, this is you
Kowisha
receiving
girl.
that. Yep, this is you getting the nourishment from the root. The wind will be
Mm-hmm.
blowing you. I'm gonna tell you, like, really, for me, how it happened. Yay, I was go. Yay, go Hashem. Yay, life was making me a skoropo out of it in that season.
Yeah.
And it was in those get together things when somebody mentioned, one of my uncles mentioned, the ones that you were talking about, the ones that just blur everything out.
Yes.
He's the one who mentioned that my great-grandfather was a traditional healer, owayelapha isichitho, who worked specifically with couples who had problems where unseen forces were affecting their relationship and their marriage and making their family life miserable, and they were struggling to move forward in family and build the legacy they want. I was like, what? And here I am thinking, I for stacky, man, this thing is not working. I want to quit. And I'm getting this revelation with, girl, there's no quitting. This thing is in your DNA. You are the next in line. You have inherited the family business. Literally.
Listen.
Literally, that is how I found out that right now I am just sitting at the helm of the family business.
Exactly.
And when I got that information, I kid you not, my business just totally changed. It totally changed. I gained the confidence that I needed because I was like, maybe I should quit. This thing is not working. But of all the things, and there's just this thing that's making me unable to just not let it go. But I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. And until I heard that story, and I was able to say, how am I? 1 + 1
equals.
Girl, listen here. I got my confidence back. I got vision. I received vision through that revelation. So it is those things that,
guys,
you will just find. Listen. You find these revelations in the presence of family.
Yes.
So the connection, the reason why we are even having this conversation is because so many people are lost. And listen, the connection is deep, but the problem solving is not that deep. And it is not as hard as we think it is. Like I said, it was that one revelation that it's magic, because I don't know what happened. Like literally, I cannot tell you what happened. But I just found that out, and then like everything fell into place and things were fine again. Like, oh, okay, we're back. Oh, okay. I did not do anything.
We are a community people. Singabantu, ngabantu. In Black culture, I don't care where that is for you. And I'm just going to bring in something on the side, which is sort of related to what we are talking about. But please make a habit of visiting Ikaya Kulu, wherever that is for you. And what I mean by Ikaya Kulu, the grandmother's place, Kakok, Kulu, where the older people, trust you me, those are portals. Those are portals. Those are portals. Just by ukunyathela emagcekeni. There doesn't even need to be an event. Just normalize, guys. You may live in your fancy suburbs, in your fancy estates, because those homes were anchored. Those homes are rooted. They are more than just houses in the township. They are more than just houses in the rurals. They are more than just Rondaville that you know what I mean? They are anchored in the sense that imicimbi used to take place in those homes. A lot of, every time. So think of it this way. Like, I like the example of a path. So think of a field, think of a bush. It's wild, it's untamed. Somebody starts walking, and before you know it, there's a clear path that people can follow. The same goes for our houses. So when I say they are portals, a house is a house is a house. People come in a new place, they build or they buy or wherever. It may have been previously owned by other people and. But as you come here, as you gather, you are making your imprint. You are putting down your unique signature. It's like, your thumbprint that is so unique. Each time you keep coming back, this path gets clearer, gets clearer, gets clearer. You are cementing, when they say occupy, take up space. And so it becomes anchored. And so Because when we are together, we bring in our energies, we talk about our families, we talk about what has happened, we talk about our people that used to live before us, we talk about funny stories, we share jokes, it's good times, it becomes a portal. There's homes where but you know what, when the world has beaten me down, I go to my grandmother's house, I just chill. It doesn't matter how it looks, but I come out of there and I'm healed. It's a portal. So you see, the lack of purpose, will send you out into the world thinking that there's nothing for you back home. No, the people who are able to go out into the world and impact and dominate are family rooted at home. You see, so we need to, the saying, take care of home. Take care of home, literally and figuratively, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Listen, there's blessings in taking care of home. However you want that to manifest in your own life. But take care of home. It goes back to that honor that you are speaking about. Care, don't just focus on building your own life and things are just in tatters. Are you your home? When I say your home, it can be your parents' home, it can be your grandparents' home. And that's the other thing when I question, these things are always interconnected. You cannot go and want to buy a 3 million rand house that's beautiful upon purchase. You will struggle to keep the beauty if you did not learn the skills from back home. Take care of home. If it means it's taking 2 plastic bags of groceries to your uncle who's left behind, do that. You stepping into that yard, you are taking care of home, and you will come out of there with a clarity on your sense of purpose. And you'll be able to go out and be more impactful in the world, in the spaces that you occupy outside of the home, if the roots are solid and firm from home. There's value, guys. There's value. And you can only know how to take care and build your own home if you learned from where you come from. Yeah, but some people only know how to destroy because that's the legacy they bring from their families. So these types of things will also help us in choosing the partners because you will see, okay, what legacy do you come from? This is why when we enter into marriage, it stops being about the two of us and it involves families because it's about legacy. It's more than just about you. It's about where
Oh,
you come
yeah.
from and what you are bringing together. We are born. We are born.
Personal
So
agenda
take
out
care.
the door.
Exactly. Take care of home. Charity begins at home. No man is an island. Do you see where all of those things are pointing us back to?
And when I know
Just
the
take care.
taking care of home is also as simple as call.
Keep the
Just
connection.
just just calling and asking how are you? Even if
Yes.
you can't do anything about what you're
Nje.
going to receive as a response
Mm.
on the other end of the line. But the mere fact that you called and asked, how are you doing?
Keep the
That
connection.
that that is enough, because
Keep the
yes,
connection.
we are high achievers, we are over performers, and sometimes
Power
when we judge
couples.
when we judge ourselves and we're looking at our circumstances and we are seeing that we are not quite where we wish we were in life, our circumstances are not what we would like them to be. We recognize our limitations. um More than anything else, we feel inadequate to take care of
Mm.
home.
Mm.
So
Mm. Mm.
taking care of home really does not mean is not only showing up physically there. Is
Mm.
not only going there and being present, but our presence, the essence of presence is what we're talking about. In the same way
Mm.
that the essence of purpose will dig you out
Mm.
of the deepest of pits, the
Mm.
essence of your presence, ekhaya, which is just you calling. and asking how unjani usbanibani, how what's
Mm,
going on, and just giving
mm,
somebody that space to just say ngiyaphila,
you
because they are
know.
not talking about themselves only.
Mm,
They are talking
mm,
about the state and the condition of the
mm,
home, which is sometimes
mm,
often you are just needing to know that you are not alone in what you are
mm.
going through. Because if you are
Exactly.
calling a kaya and you are finding out the things are not so rosy flower, and you are
Mm.
feeling in your life things are not so rosy flower, now you know,
You
okay, I'm not
know.
alone. It is a season that our family is in.
Mm, mm,
And because I'm not in this
mm.
season alone, it's not a self inflicted season. Maybe I just need to wait it out
You
and let the
know.
forces that be just deal with what they are supposed to deal with, that only they can do. Because sometimes
Mm,
that's it. Sometimes we want to extend our abilities far beyond where they can go, and then we feel like we are
mm.
failures.
Yeah.
We feel like we are failures because we are attempting to do things that we have no business doing. So even
Yes.
just making a habit of calling, like my husband and I have been in a position where we were starting from scratch,
Mhm.
zero,
Mm.
rock bottom,
Yes, yes, yes.
and
Yeah.
it is the stuff that I'm relaying and sharing with you is stuff that was able to pull us out of that. I was
Mm,
asking him this morning that yesterday I read something that said, put your hands up if you've ever had to start from nothing, if you've ever lost everything and had to
mm,
rebuild your life. And I asked
mm,
him, do you know, I don't know anybody personally in my personal life that I can point to and say that person had to start from scratch. This starting from scratch thing, Tandwa, is not for everyone. It's for select few people. And
mm.
those few people have a purpose that is greater that we have come to learn to understand. But it's
Mm.
not for everyone. And
No.
so it's one of those things that give you value as a person.
Yes.
It's one
Yes.
of those things that cement your self-worth
Yeah.
if you ever doubted it.
Yes.
And we did doubt
Yes.
our self-worth, so we kind of had to go through
Of
that experience just
course.
so,
Of course.
just so we can connect to our self-worth and our worthiness. But
Mm.
when you are able to just call home and ask what's happening there, those are things that feed you
They
without you
do.
even having without you being able to, because you don't even have bus fare to go home. But when you call, you are able to
Mm.
receive that connection, that connection that will heal you, that will nourish you. The just
Mhm.
hearing how siyaphila, oh, thank you for calling, how asakwazi, it's healing. So those are the things
Mm.
that you said when you
Mm.
were talking about how do we establish purpose? How
Mm.
do we reconnect with purpose?
Mm.
Well, from where I stand, in my experience, in the work that I'm doing, in what I've seen, in what I've studied, purpose is also reestablished and restored through the decisions we make. So the
Very true.
decisions that you are making in the mess, in the
Mm.
disconnection,
Mm.
in the disconnection, those decisions that you are making are in either perpetuating the disconnection or they are restoring the connection that once was, because
Mm.
there is no
Mm.
family that started off as disconnected. So
Never.
all we are doing is we are on a journey of restoration. All of
Very
us,
true.
in one way or another, we are all in a journey of restoration. And sometimes you have to restore your own little world so
Mm.
that your restoration can be the little river that trickles to the
Mm.
ocean that is your family. Because
Very
when that
true.
water starts coming out, water has force. When that
Mm.
restoration
Mm.
starts being apparent in everybody else, that's a force to be reckoned with.
Oh,
So in the
yeah.
purpose situation, the decisions that you are making within the disconnection, the decisions that we are making as we look at this big fat elephant, those are the
Mm.
things that will restore the connection,
Mm.
that will restore the unity.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I want us to touch on one last thing as one of the reasons why there's disconnection. And this is one thing that coming now from a perspective where people are on some, no, I'm just going to do it with my own little family because there it's beyond repairs. So I'm going to do it with my little family that I'm going to start by myself, because that's why people come to relationship coaching, Bella, because they want to start their own thing that's going to be different from the one that they come from. So
Yes.
one of the things that causes disconnection that I would also like for you to speak on, the thing that, okay, honestly, like side note, on the real, like on the real, this coming from Mama me and me, just going through life me. Listen, I think Amatutau are the only people that got the memo, or at the very least, remember the memo to this life thing. The rest of us, I think we forgot. We drank the Kool-Aid to make us forget a bit too much. Those people, they remember. They got the memo. We are different. We can come from the same stomach. Like me, my children will tell me, but Mama, I'm not so and so. But Mama, I'm different from so and so. You can't expect me to be. And we were brought up to want to be the same. That's another thing that creates connection in family. Our inability to be the same. It is humanly impossible. Yet we try so hard.
That was my third point.
Yeah.
Non-acceptance.
You and I are in sync. You and I are in sync. That's it.
Non-acceptance. Yes.
Take it over to you, D.
So we spoke of families that lack purpose, right? But we also know that there are families who do have a sense of purpose. So, Gengoku, what happens is that because we are so clear about who we are and what we are about and what we are not about, now we want to impose how people should be. And if they happen to be a little different to the norm, if they happen to be a little different to what we used to, listen, we will try every trick under the sun to get them to conform. People will be threatened with exile. If you don't do this, if you don't marry this person, I will take away your benefits. I will take away love. I will. And all it is that we just refuse to accept difference. And the downside to that is now you are just throttling progress. Because yes, we may have been a family of teachers. Yeah, we come from 5 generations of teachers. Yeah, but now that has run its course, you see. That's why now you have a scientist in the family, because we need to diversify in order for us to grow. Not that there's anything wrong with being a family of teachers, but hey, now life is giving you the opportunity to diversify and to grow in other areas. So it will do what? It will present you with somebody that is unlike you, that is unlike anyone who has been here before. And so families who do have a sense of purpose do tend to make that mistake, where they want everybody else to conform. This is how we've always done things. This is who we are. This is not what we do. And what then that does is it creates the disconnection, because the person who is genuinely accepted feels the most loved. If you're an individual and you feel wholly accepted, that's when you feel the most love. Acceptance is love, and true love equals freedom. Freedom to be who you really are, to be authentically you. So if you are unaccepted in your family, if you are a little project that everybody's just trying to fix, just trying to work on, there is absolutely no way you're going to feel the love. They may say that they are doing it out of love, but the receiver, the recipient of all these fixing efforts and feels like you guys don't accept me for who I am. And so, you know what? I'm going to step out and go find my own tribe outside of the home. And that's what creates disconnection a lot of the times. Like you said, does it mean that we should all be the same? Definitely not. And I think the fallacy here is believing that in order for us to be a successful family that knows what they're about, we need to be cut from the same cloth. Mm-hmm. We can all be different parts. We can be little patches like a quilt that make up a cloth that is our family, because the differences are what brings about the strengths, So a lot of people decided or were made to leave their families because people just fail to accept them for who they really are, and people can only pretend for so long to be things that they are not, even if there's benefits there, but it gets exhausting and it breeds resentment and it can only end in tears. So the reason why people will tell you, I just chose to walk away from home because I was not accepted. And I say this again, true love means absolute freedom to allow the other person to be who they are. You can influence change, but you can never force change. You can influence somebody to become better if they are just wasting their life away, for example, because the question will come up, but what about people who are busy destroying their lives, right? The end goal, the intention is to make them see the value in who they are, but without wanting to destroy the core of who they are in this present moment. Because what you are not liking, for example, is a behavior, it's a trait that can be changed, that can be influenced to change. But what you are saying is at the core of who you are. I love you, even though I don't love all of the other stuff that make up the sum total of who you are. But I love you and I accept you, right? Nothing has the transformative power to change a person like love, like acceptance more than love. Because when somebody sees that, okay, I know I'm not living the way I should be, and yes, I'm on a path of destruction, but you still accept me, you still see beauty beyond. Now that person is moved to want to change for the better without you imposing it on them. Because when you impose, you're saying your core, your essence is damaged. Mm-hmm. So let's reconfigure you. Let's scramble you up and start you from scratch. No living human being has the power and authority to do so except for the one that created us. Nobody. That is not love. So people make the mistake. And yes, no family is exempt from this. There is going to be that one person, the black sheep, who just goes off center, and the frustration comes from knowing the potential they hold. The potential, this person is so gifted with their hands. They're so good. If only they would just focus. If only, if only, if only. But now, if all they keep hearing is, you need to change. Why are you like this? Oh, then off they go. Yeah, but guys, come on. We know, we know that's how they are. We know that's what they do. But just surprise them, just indulge them, just remind them of their light as opposed to their dark. And I know it's not an easy thing. It is my daily existence where you have to live with somebody like that. But make it a conscious effort to highlight the good, because human beings thrive on positive affirmations. That thing gives off endorphins. It makes you feel good that, I'm loved, I'm welcomed. Yeah, but so even if they do decide to continue on their path of destruction, they will never ever forget that, you know what, somewhere there were people who loved me regardless. Yeah, but then the rest is up to them whether they decide to change or not. But I think that for us to understand and to keep the connection going, because nothing is as disheartening as going home just to hear of your flaws all the time. Like, moods. Like, hello. It's hardly been 5 minutes. Why like that? Why are you sulking? Why are you frowning? Why are you? I mean, that is just like, that is, nobody likes that. I don't care how strong they claim you are. That just gets to you. And nobody would want to find themselves in environments where they are busy just being broken down all the time. You see, so that is one of the major and very sad reasons why the disconnection exists, where people just live to remind you and highlight the things that make you different from them, and how you think you are better, how this, how that. I was like, guys, let me rather go where I'm affirmed and loved and accepted. I don't need this, family or not, you know? Yeah.
That is so true. And I would like to invite the perpetrators to really lean into this one. Because sometimes we do it unconsciously, and a lot of times we do it unintentionally because of how we were initiated into love. Because ultimately, it just comes down to love. And when we were initiated into love as knowing love to be a transactional type of love, you know how we speak of true love? That's because there's different types of love. That's one of the things that we're covering in the masterclass. And one of those is transactional love. A lot of us struggle in relationships. We struggle in keeping the flow of money the way that we want it to be in our lives. We struggle with being in health and well-being the way we want to be in our lives because of how we
Yes.
were initiated into love. A lot of us know love as a transactional love. We don't know what true love is. We know only transactional love. And transactional love is fueled by imposition. It's fueled by this constant trying to impose ideals, beliefs, your way, the ego wanting to impose itself onto spirit. It's just, there's no barriers, there's no honor in that type of love, and there's no acceptance, like you're saying. And acceptance, especially now, when we are talking about, and this episode really is for the people who are feeling disconnected with family. Like, out of the three things we've mentioned, which one is yours? Which one is disconnecting you from your family?
Yeah.
And we've given
Yeah.
solutions
Yeah.
to all three. Now, if acceptance is the one that is causing the disconnect, you are either the perpetrator of not being able to accept other people and you are busy imposing um, yourself and your ideals onto others, then you need to stop that because you need to heal. You need to get reinitiated into love and transcend transactional love. You need that solution, come to the masterclass. We'll do that for you. You are just one karmic clearance away from changing that
Yeah.
situation,
Yeah.
And then if you are the person that is struggling to receive acceptance from your family, because acceptance is what breeds progression and evolution. If you are struggling to receive acceptance from your family, now Ununu spoke about the black sheep that go off because they are not receiving the love. There's also the black sheep like us, the swans. Let me say the swans. There's also the black swans, the swans, the ugly ducklings like us, who turn into swans in families of ducks. Ne? Now, if you are a swan like us, born into a family of ducks, because that happens too.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
there are those of us who are
Very
swans,
true.
but the rest of our family is ducks.
Yeah.
Now we struggle with receiving acceptance. Now
Mm.
we are those people that have to first start with self-acceptance. Like, okay, when I look at me and I look at them, I see, we are not the same. You need to first accept that about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the only way that your family will be able to embrace that about you is when they see your level of acceptance of it. Because as swans, we are the ones that are going to come and pour stuff into our family. We are the ones that carry a lot of the things that are meant to increase the territory. You know how we always say, oh Lord, increase my territory. We are the ones that are going to come here to enlarge the territory for our family. We are the ones that are going to come and allow integration to happen, progression and evolution of our families to happen. Our family members before us, whether they are alive or they have transitioned, they have done work that needs somebody to hold space for integration so that this work was not in vain.
Yes.
Some of us are those people that come to hold the space and be the container so that the work that the people have been doing integrates, it takes up root, it nourishes the roots. Some of us are here to be able to make sure that the soil that our families are growing in receives nourishment. And so we're not going to be the ducks in the family. We are going to be the duckling. We are going to be the swans because that's what we are here for. And so those are the things that create disconnection. That's why disconnection happens, because there are swans who are trying so hard to be ducks. Don't stop it. Nobody in my family understands what I do.
Hello.
They do not. Like, I have tried explaining it to my grandmother.
I'm called, so are you a professional aunt? What's a professional aunt?
Like, then now I'm lucky because I just don't have a job. So we've all settled for I'm unemployed.
Yes.
I don't work. Oh, now that settles that question because,
yes.
in as much as they understand what my great grandfather used to do, and mix his herbs, and somebody comes, he gives them the medicine, the work is done, the family, the mother and the father are back together, the family is happy. They don't understand how I do it with the technology that's available to me, because that is something that is uncommon to them, but that is something that is bringing progression and evolution to our family. It's bringing progression and evolution to our family. We will definitely be marked present on, did the legacy progress after so and so? Yes, we will be marked present. They don't need to understand it. I'm even okay with them not understanding what I do.
Not understanding. Yeah. Yeah.
And my family is educated.
Really?
They are very educated people. So it's not an intellect issue. It's
No,
really,
definitely not.
yes, it's not an intellect question, but it is a question of coming back again, purpose. It is the question of purpose. Now, the purpose that we were talking about before was mostly leaning towards your personal purpose. Now it is what we are here for is the family purpose.
Family purpose.
Yes, it is the humanity purpose, because our families exist because they need to contribute to humanity in some way. And those contributions will be made by certain individuals of those families. So if you are finding yourself experiencing a disconnection from your family because you are lacking the acceptance that you would like to receive, you will receive the acceptance. I receive acceptance and love from my family now. more than I've ever in my entire lifetime. Now that I don't need them, now that I don't need them, now to survive.
Yes. To
Because I,
validate, yes.
hmm.
So to
now
validate, yeah.
now that I don't need them for my survival needs,
Mm, mm.
now I'm receiving the love and the accept, but I have to accept myself. I have to
Injalo,
really
injalo.
accept myself and show up in that way that
Mm,
is not validation love. That's another form of love we'll be unpacking.
yes.
Now I'm able to receive there. Now my family knows how
Mm,
true love flows now in our family
mm,
unit.
mm,
It
mm,
flows in our family unit because of that level of self acceptance. So, what have I
mm,
done? Not only have I picked up my own purpose and I'm walking in my own purpose, but I have allowed or I have
mm,
contributed positively
mm.
towards my family being a purpose
Nje.
filled family.
Yes,
And
yes.
nobody is waking up at night struggling and thinking, oh, am I in purpose? No. But for
No.
the greater good, where it matters most, whoever's keeping track of what families are doing and our families are doing is keeping
Mm.
track of that. We don't
You
know
know,
why that exists. We don't know why it
yeah.
needs to happen, but it is happening. Whether we like it or not, whether we believe it or not, it is happening. So
To add
self
to your
acceptance.
point, Coach Lundy, on that. So personally, I I have I have recently made sense of why it is. So what happened with me is earlier in my life, I got opportunity to venture out of the family, like to venture out of the norm, to be the one that's far away. And I was one of the first few. In fact, yeah, the first few, when you've got a job out there that takes you away from family. Ne? And that happened and I was successful and but as life would have it, all of that went away and it sent me back home. Ne? And I've been back
Every
home.
time. Happens every time.
Yes,
If
it
you
sent
are the
me.
one, you will go. But it like a
Yes.
pendulum, you will come back swinging.
So now I've been home, I've been collecting my lessons, my knowledge, as you said earlier, and now I understand. Oh, okay. Oh, because for me, to be able to put purpose when I'm out there venturing new territories and conquering and occupying, and it has to have purpose. And how will I know about that purpose? And from back at the roots, back at home. So now that I've done my homework, I've collected my information, my knowledge, the lessons from lives past, current, and now life is doing what? It's opening itself up to more opportunities for me to go venture again. But now the difference this time, I do it with a sense of purpose, with a sense of knowing. So for some people, that struggle with acceptance within the family, they may feel scared when life takes them far away from the family to say, hey, that causes an even deeper divide. No, you are the one who was meant to do that. But make it your business to understand the origins of that. Because you know what? Some people were meant to impact where they are locally, but some people have been given the mandate to go out there. Yeah, but so do not be scared. It's the connection that counts. It's not about being physically next to each other. And I have learned that I add more value when I'm away, when I'm out there, you know, because I'm able to pour back more effectively. There's more impact in what I do back to the family treasure trove, so to speak. So these things come in many ways. So identify where you are and what your story is, because you will see the patterns. They will tell you, where you are and what you need to be doing. It's all about connection. Connection doesn't always mean proximity, physical proximity. Mm-hmm. You can have the connection while the one is on the other side of the world and the other is left. Because you've got people that are occupying the same house and yet there is no connection. You know, people who have had relationship problems will tell you this. It also happens at home where people are living together, but there's absolutely no connection. They know nothing about each other. They don't know each other, but yet they are under the same roof. You know, so yeah, it's those things when not Coach Lund, you are so right. And I just like how all of this interlinks to our romantic relationships because you've got people that are able to sit with you and they know nothing about you, but they boldly call you their husband or their wife. And you look at them and you're thinking, what do you know about me? If we had to go, you know, those game shows, they're so revealing to couples a lot of the times where you have to show how much you know about the other person. And people are like, yo, I really don't know much about this person. The same happens in families, guys, where parents don't know their children, siblings don't know anything. You know, they just know that they're my sister, they're annoying, they're this, they're that. But what does she do? Like, what does she like? And it's a blank, you know. So connection is more than just proximity. It's more than just that. Yeah, and there's many ways to connect. A lot of ways to connect. Find which ones work for you and stick with it.
Absolutely. Well, I think that is how the cookie crumbles. That is
Yeah,
basically how the cookie crumbles.
basically,
So whether you
yes.
are the one on the sidelines that is noticing the disconnection, whether you're trying to fix and restore the connection, or whether you are at a decision point, but this this is what's predominantly happening.
Mm, mm,
And all of the things that are happening, man, they are all
mm,
a revelation and different
mm.
ways of the disconnection expressing itself, with
Yeah.
all that's going on, with people being confused with this whole era of, hey, spiritually gifted and all of that stuff. It's all just a revelation. It's all just a
Mm,
revelation of where we stand in the level of
mm,
connection. And it's all a way back to
mm,
restore the connection. So, Mina, my closing words would be, um, when you notice the disconnection or when you are experiencing the disconnection, whether you are just at the inception of your awareness and consciousness of it, or you are moving yourself through, or you were
mm,
like, I fuck off me, I give up much, and you are sitting down and you're like, hey, I get take me if you take me, disconnection. Wherever you are, it's the best place for you to be, because out of
mm,
everything we've mentioned, you will find what will
mm,
help you take that next step,
mm,
in moving back to the connection. The disconnection is your way back to the connection.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
let's not freak out about it. Um, yes, feel the pain of it,
mm,
acknowledge that it's there,
mm,
go through the motions. But when this is what I found, um,
mm,
that when we freak out about it, we tend to perpetuate the disconnection.
mm,
Um,
mm,
when we accept it, it's a different story. Accepting it and
mm,
acknowledging it, and identifying, okay, this is a season where the disconnection is just doing what disconnection does. Let's roll with the punches. Let's allow
yeah.
it. Sometimes we are too quick to try and fix things. Um,
Mm,
sometimes we're too quick to try and fix things. Like I'm saying, there
very true.
is there is a lot that is going on, that is, most of it is outside of our own abilities. So,
Mm, mm,
let us ride the wave, so to speak, and
mm,
allow the
mm,
disconnection to
mm,
serve us, because it is serving us.
mm,
When that ugly duckling was sitting in the discomfort and the agony of non-acceptance,
Mm.
that is how it was able to transform. The path to
Yeah.
transformation wasn't stopped by the mocking. It wasn't
Mm.
stopped by the isolation and the loneliness. So the
Mm.
disconnection will not stop what is meant
Mm.
to happen for you. It's not going to stop what you are meant to receive on the other
Mm.
side. It's not going to stop the progression. It's not going to stop your progress or your evolution. Will it
Mm.
feel miserable? Will it be excruciating? Definitely, absolutely. More
Oh,
than you
yeah.
want to endure. But it's not going
Mm.
to stop. So
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
keeping on. Um, there is hope, walk. And if you
Mm.
cannot stand in your own hope, I always tell my clients that, listen, right now you don't have the confidence to stand and walk boldly in this. So I'm gonna ask you to piggy bank off of my confidence, piggy
Mm.
bank off of my prophecy that I have insight into over your
Mm.
life. Because
Yeah.
working with people who want to build family, but everything, the odds are like, it's not going to happen for you.
Against
It's
them.
a very hard thing for them to do because you have to
Mm.
believe. It takes a lot of faith, and
Mm.
faith it goes both ways. You can have faith in it not happening, and you can have
Oh,
faith in it
it's
happening.
happening. Yeah.
And so sometimes their faith in it not happening is higher than their faith in it happening. And I say
Mm.
piggyback off of my faith, because
Mm.
I don't only have faith that it's happening, I have knowing that it is happening. This is how it is happening. So for a lot of us, the disconnection is how the connection is happening, basically.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Very true. Yeah, no, that's a mouthful. My thing, my only parting shot is, guys, get curious about your family. No matter what the state is right now, you may be disconnected. Study your family, because that will just give you insight, a lot of insight into who you are. It's just going to help you in so many ways. Get curious about you, your family, your history. Yeah, I would say stick to those. There's always that person in family with history, with a very deep history of the family. Hey, make those people your friends, eh? Because trust me, the older we get, the more we realize the value of that knowledge. It may not be about things that are deep, but people who have a knowledge, man, about, you know, how things were before, people who can tell you how it is that your grandparents came to live in the house that they lived in. That is history, guys. History is not only the stuff that you find in books, but history is basically a narration and a documentation of somebody's lived experience. And that has a direct effect on who you are currently and where you are going, like we say. So let us get curious about our families. Let us get curious and have an open heart as we do that. Because sometimes a lot of the things we've come to believe are not so. And you'll never know if that is the case until you develop the desire and take the time to know more, you know, about people that make up this family, about where they came from, about just be curious. You'll be so amazed. Family is like, kissed that has been locked. I always think of it that way. That thing stands there for years and years and years. And one day you open it and you find out so much. There's so much treasure in there, about so many things. And it's going to help you understand a lot of the things, even the conflicts that people are struggling with. When you get curious, you'll be amazed to see that time. And it didn't only start with us. Just let's be curious. There's a lot to be learned, a lot to be gained, and it's the only way that can move us forward. It's the only way that can heal us. It's the only way that it can remind us of who we are and what we are capable of, because we come from a great people. We really, really do. It may look like you guys are nothing, you haven't accomplished much, but trust you me, you wouldn't be here if you didn't come from a great people. Maybe there's a reason why you don't have things to show. A a very good and surprising story of why that is. But you'll only know that if you take the time to learn. So let's get curious. Let's heal. Let's learn. And let's spend time around each other, even if we're annoying. Shem family is annoying. I come to Dika like a family, but hey, those people, I tell you, man, shame. They have a special talent of annoying. But trust you me, there's value, man, in the coming together, because I think also it just teaches you get into a relationship and you just watch your partner does crazy stuff and you're like, yes, I know people who do this drama better than you. So things don't become so massive all the time. So yeah, man, let's get into the culture and habit of coming together as family more often. Let's not wait till somebody dies. Oh my gosh. And the famous line, no, we must meet when nobody has died, and it never happens until the next funeral. That needs to come to an end. Yeah,
Well, as
so
we work ourselves to that. Commit
we
in
should stop
whatever
meeting at
way.
funerals. We should stop meeting at funerals.
Yeah, one day it'll happen, one day it'll happen. The Nkosi
Yeah.
Zempi will, have grace one day and it will happen.
Mm,
But until then,
yeah.
you're listening to this conversation all the way to the end. You have honored your family because
Mm,
family is a
mm,
conversation that it has become so rare. It's family is such a trigger word that we just automatically
mm,
just shut off. So you have done a great
yeah.
deal. You have moved a lot of
Mm,
resistance. You have created a breakthrough in just enduring this conversation, listening to this conversation, being curious,
mm,
having a heart, having an open mind. You have honored
mm,
your family, you have honored yourself, and you have restored something. Some form of restoration has been received because of just this action that you have participated in. So honor yourself for that, recognize and acknowledge yourself for that because it is something, these things really do matter. And I know that, like, unfortunately for some people, and it will be fortunate very soon that us deep people will be relevant now. Yo, our time is hey, our time is now. Now we are going to be so relevant. but
no,
but
yeah.
yeah, honor is what
Oh,
it's
no.
about. Honor in whatever way, whether
Mm.
you are honoring through a memory, those memories. I wanted to laugh and say, history is the memories of your drunk uncle, and that the memories that your drunk uncle always shares, that is the history, that is the medicine for you. So
Yes.
honor that drunk uncle with your
Please
time
do.
and your
Please do.
attention. So yes, and how all of this disconnection shows up in relationship is you then becoming and attracting relationships that are stressful, relationships that we call karmic, relationships that just have a lot of repetitive cycles that are on the unwanted side of things.
Mm.
The toxic relationship magnets. So if you are one of
Mm.
those, please do join a masterclass that I'll be hosting. Coach Nunu will be there. She'll have some contribution in that masterclass. Now she knows to
The
tell us because
disconnect.
because karma, because there's no way we are talking karma and we are not talking family. There is absolutely no way that can
Mm.
happen. Like, it just cannot. So
Mm.
come through, join us. It's a free
Yeah.
masterclass. And the way the masterclass is going to be different from this conversation is we will actually be doing work that day. We
Mm.
won't be giving you information, but we'll be doing the transformative work of releasing karma, of
Mm.
disconnecting from karma, because you really are just one karmic lesson away. You master one karmic lesson,
Mm.
you clear one aspect of karma, and everything changes for you. It
It
really
does.
can
It
be as
does.
simple as
Yeah.
that. So if you find
Mm.
yourself there, do join us. I'll pop the link to join in the comments. And once again, thank
Mm.
you so much, our babigazi,
Thank you.
for honoring us and imparting your knowledge, your wisdom, and your experience with us. It is always such an honor to serve with you. And yes, until we do it again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time, guys. Thank you for joining us.